Using recurring invoices on a separate frequency than the job is a great method for handling prepaid customers. For example, if a customer would like to pay for the year in advance for their monthly service, you can set the job to repeat monthly, then edit the invoice to repeat yearly. So, for example, we'll go back to our calendar, and we're going to create a new job for Jess. And we're going to choose our service, which will be monthly service. And as we know, by default, the invoice is going to repeat monthly with each job. However, in this case, we actually want the invoice to repeat yearly, since the customer paid for the year in advance. So we're going to change the frequency to yearly. We can set the price here, since this will be for the whole year. And then we're going to choose our date issued. So just for this example, we'll say the customer paid today, which is March 31st, and then their service will start on April 6th. Okay, so I'm going to change the date issued to the current date. And then you'll see in the summary that this invoice is going to repeat yearly on the last Wednesday of March. And that's because we've scheduled the date issued to the last Wednesday of March. If we wanted it to be on a specific date, you can change it from day of the week to day of the year. And then that way it'll be on March 31st yearly, regardless of what day of the week that falls on. Okay, for this example, we'll just change it back to day of the week. All right, and then we're just going to choose our action. Okay, so in this case, you can do two things. You can set it to send by email, and since it's the date issued, since the date issued is today and we click save, you will have the option to trigger the action immediately or complete it later. So you could complete this later and then add a payment afterwards once it's in draft, or you can just set the action to none and then save, which will keep that invoice in draft status. Okay, so now since the customer has already paid, we want to add a payment right away. So we're going to add our payment. And this customer paid by a check. So we'll add a payment. Okay, so now this monthly service is going to have this paid invoice that will automatically send out on the last Wednesday of the year, each year. So it will continue to repeat on its own frequency. And if we were to complete this job for April 6th, and then jump ahead to Jess's new job next month, is right here, we'll see that the job will keep repeating on the calendar every month, but it will keep this paid invoice attached all the way until it's triggered to send out on the last Wednesday of March the following year. So this is a great method for setting up a payment plan. Another option for prepaid customers will be adding a payment as credit onto that customer's account and then applying that credit to the invoice as you service the job. So for example, if we go back to April and we pull up Peter's account, who we'd previously created a job for, we can add a payment to his account. So let's say, for example, Peter has his monthly service and he would like to prepay for the entire year. So the other option would be to add a payment on his profile. We're going to add a payment. We'll say $600, and this will cover the entire year of service. And since this is not applied to any specific invoice, this will add credit to the account. So we're going to add credit. Okay, and so as we know, when we schedule a monthly service, by default, the invoice is going to repeat with each job, right? So since we already have the credit applied, the other option for prepaid customers would now be to add a payment each month as you're servicing the job and applying that credit that's on the account to that invoice. So every month you would apply the credit available. And then now we'll see that there is only $550 credit on the account. So basically each month, you would want to follow the same process. So if we complete the job, we open up the job for the following month in May, you'd service the customer, and then when you're ready to add a payment to the invoice, you can just apply the credit on the account, okay? And you would continue to do this each month until there's no credit left.